I mean, they picked up the kid from Alabama, but how do Mississippi State build this program back?
They got to recruit high school. They got to start off recruiting high school. This is Libby's first year. You get your foundation with your high school so you could build your culture. I understand what they did in Colorado. That probably was a necessary thing to do. And that's not say that Mississippi State shouldn't go on the portal because they absolutely need to. But
Mm-hmm.
if you're a new coach, you coming in, you're in the SEC, which is different from the first year Pac-12 and now the Big 12 that Colorado was in. The ACC with Florida State having the name it has, they
Mm-hmm.
can garner some big time names out of the portal to go down to Florida State and you could turn the switch. Now, what's effective for Florida State is awesome and spectacular quarterback play, and they hadn't had that. So that has blown, their situation up a little bit, and they hadn't quite honestly recuperated from not making the college playoff.
No,
So
I think that was a death penalty of the program. To be honest with you.
but as far as the high school recruiting Florida State has done, they've done outstanding on that front. And at the end of the day, what you're seeing is the traditional power schools like the Georgias, the Alabamas, they load up the cupboard with high school prospects,
Mm-hmm.
and then they cherry pick out of the portal.
Yeah.
So, you know, early on with this portal thing, a lot of people was saying, "Hey, it's gonna hurt high school players." But now it's sort of kind of leveling out. A lot
Yeah.
of those, kids that's had the extra time due to COVID, they're starting to
Yeah.
wash
They're
out.
phasing out. Yeah, they're phasing
Yeah,
out
so
right now.
we're starting to see somewhat of some balance.
Yeah.
So, when we were coming up back in our day, if you were talking about transferring, you probably had an attitude problem or something, or
Oh yeah.
but then again, back then you would lose a year eligibility. So the parameters were different. Now you could transfer from school to school as free agency. So I would say your foundation has to be high school, but you can hit the lottery like Florida State did last year with guys that are now playing in the NFL. So it's just a matter of if you could get those guys. But from what we're seeing, Georgia, Alabama, those type of schools, they're still able to get who they want, and they're going to get the top recruits out the port if they want them. So, I would say another thing is coaches need more time than 2, 3 years to build a program in this day and age. Sometimes coaches may need about 5 or 6 years. If you
Mm-hmm.
think about it, Jim Harbaugh was at Michigan, what, 8, 9 years, and it took
Perfect
him that
example.
long
Perfect
to
example,
become,
man.
you know, to become a relevant program that can consistently compete with Ohio State. So it takes time. You got to know where you are on the pecking order. And Mississippi State is basically building a program from scratch.
Man, I totally agree with you saying about the Bulldogs. I think that's the route. I think I think you have a coach and Coach Levy that can build it, but I think they have to give him time. I think the AD is a very patient guy. I think he's going to give him that time. Um, and I think you go to high school route. I really do. I think you go to high school route. You take your lumps and bruises. Levy has proven that he can score points. And in today's time, you got to score points, man. It's not like it was years ago. You don't see many 10-7 football games anymore. Those games those games are few and far beyond. And I think you go to high school route. Colorado did what they did because of who their coach is. But every program is not built to use the portal to be their masterpiece, you know, to present to the conference, hey, I'm here. I think Florida State was at a point where Norvell was kind of, if he didn't win, they were gonna, I think he was looking at the axe. So when the portal came available, I think he just went, I got to get everything I can. And it happened, and the committee wasn't kind to him for it. So I think you're absolutely right when it comes to Mississippi State. I think they rebuild a program by going to get good high school kids. And then you still get portal kids to fill some slots. You look at Georgia. Who's on that team out the portal? That's one of their major contributors.
Maybe
They did well.
maybe,
That's what I'm
but
saying.
he's going into a loaded backfield already.
Right. But what I'm saying is they just doing spots. They're not retooling the whole team.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? They're not retooling the whole team. They'll say, okay, look, this kid right here, we can use him. We can use him, maybe him. You talking about maybe four components. That's not bad. That's a different from what Dion did. What he do? Like 50-some guys? Or more?
Well, and we're talking about a different type of coach. We're talking about an icon, right? So, you know, in
I understand
Colorado,
that, but
yeah,
yet and still,
it's a sense of urgency to get that program turned around because they were dormant.
So you don't
Nobody.
think there's a sense of urgency at Mississippi State?
I absolutely do, but I don't think you have to take the portal route. I think you have to go long term and develop talent so you can sustain success and build
Okay.
your culture. That's just the way I see it. And with the coaching staff, the general management at Mississippi State, they have a young group that can actually get it done. I'm impressed on the recruits that they're bringing in and out every week, and some of the recruits and some of the players that's already on their roster that they
Yeah.
could build around. So they
Mm-hmm.
got a good nucleus. Hey, you've identified a freshman quarterback. You got a
Got it.
kid, a hometown kid, Burnside, that's on
Got
that
it.
roster with a few other kids. That's a lot to build off of. I mean, just naming just a few, and the way that they're running the ball, they're finding their identity. Now, if you look up and you can get a few guys out the portal, so be it. But I would invest the money on the talent that you recruit.
I 100% agree. With Mississippi State, I think that's the best route for them.
And
I
I
think.
spent a lot of
I,
it on if Mississippi State can somehow become a top 15 team in
oh
recruiting,
yeah,
and it's
that's
possible in the SEC.
right. Right.
It's just possible. So I would aim as that being a goal as being a top 15 team as
Mm-hmm.
far as recruiting, and I would spend it on high school kids. Now we find something in the portal, that's fine, but I'm gonna get the best high school kids I can get.
Mississippi State. Do y'all hear Mikael Stevens talking to you? There's a lot of kids in the state of Mississippi that I think they can get that will help that program. So, and the thing about it is you don't have to spend a whole lot of money on real good football players. They're good football players that just want to go play football. And I understand the NIL part of it, but there are some solid 3-star guys that you can turn into a 4 or 5 if you're willing to put the time in with those guys. Those are the kids that they gotta have.
Absolutely.
They gotta
Absolutely.
have. They gotta get those type kids. They gotta quit looking at, okay, this is a 4-star kid. They gotta go get that kid with the right stuff. What I mean by that, I mean he's number one academically, he's gonna be there. You look at what he's doing in the classroom. So if he's got a 3.0 in the classroom, that means he's going to give you everything on that football field. So you go look at that.
I tell you what I want to see, whether it's Mississippi State, Ole Miss, USM, Jackson State, Alcorn. I want to see somebody get in a helicopter. I want some coaches get in the helicopter, bounce around on a Friday night, land on that baseball field.
Well, that's all in a coach's personality. Like you were saying with Dion, it got to be that coach's personality. If it's not in his personality, then it don't fit the program, bro.
Well, I get that, but I'm not just that's not a Dion personality. That's locking your state down.
I mean,
Saying, hey,
I
we
get it, but what I'm saying is this: I think everybody have their own style or how they recruit and how they go get kids. The helicopter stuff, yeah, it's a wow factor for that moment. But what after that moment? What about that mom and that dad at the house? You make sure he's gonna get an education. You make sure that he's gonna have good internships. You make sure that he's gonna have financial literacy before he leaves there. Man, you gotta appeal to some more people
you stand
within
correct
his
on that.
circle. You see what
Absolutely.
I'm saying? So, I mean, that's my take on that, man. Like I say, I think when it comes to the portal right now, they said Lane is the portal king, but I got to give it to Dion. I got to give it to Dion right now. Dion is in a position maybe to get in a championship game in the Big 12. Ole Miss cannot lose again, and I don't think they're going to beat Georgia, and they still have to play Missouri, and they got a tough OU team coming in. So, if I want to give a report card right now, I give Dion and the Colorado Buffs. I give them a B plus. Um, I give Ole Miss a B minus, and I give Florida State a B because they did it last year. I don't know what happened to this year, but they did it last year, and I think a lot of what happening to them this year has to do with last year. So I mean, the portal, give it, the portal take it away. The portal can make you the portal king, or it can make you the portal queen. And yeah, I'm being honest with you.